In collaboration with BCG, Snapchat released a report on Gen Z providing new data on this generation, debunking myths and breaking new ground in our understanding of this seemingly hard-to-crack demographic. The report addresses 4 key questions: Indian Gen Z's purchasing power, underlying values that define Gen Z, why should marketers be thinking about Gen Z, and what do they need to do to unlock this opportunity. To get more nuanced insights, I am thrilled to have an exclusive dialogue with Pulkit Trivedi, Managing Director of Snap Inc., Nimisha Jain, Managing Director of BCG, Arpan Biswas, Chief Marketing Officer at Jio, and Kevin Zinkhai, a Gen Z influencer who will tell us what this cohort really wants. Hello and welcome to Media Dialogues with Storyboard 18. I'm thrilled to have you all with me here today. To begin with, give me a little bit of a sense on what the absolutely important findings from this report were for you, that stood out for you, but also stood out for, has to stand out for marketers and brands. Pulkit, let me begin with you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me over. I think 2 very key things that stand out for me is this 377 million number, which is the size of this cohort in India. It's the largest population that has ever lived in India. And the other one is, which is the looming question that most brands and businesses have about this generation, which is, do they really have the spending power? And the report clearly calls out that the direct spending power of Gen Z is $200 billion here and now. And in the next 10 years, they will add $1.8 trillion of retail consumption to the economy.
I think 2 things that stood out really for me. One is building on what Pulkit said. Not just the direct spending power, but there's a very strong influence that Gen Z has today. This is the cohort that sets trends. This is the cohort that everyone looks to. Gen Alpha, who's younger than them, look at them. The millennials who are older look to them. And so Gen Z, while they're spending $200 billion today, they're already influencing $660 billion of spend. So today, 43% of total spending in the country is either directly spent by or influenced by Gen Z. The second thing that stood out for me was the fact that, in addition to talking to Gen Z, we spoke to brands, and only 45% of brands we spoke to actually recognize that Gen Z even matters, and only 15% are actually doing something about it. So there's just a massive opportunity. They're spending, they're influencing, but nobody is talking to them.
Very big statement from Nimisha there, Arpan, and because she said that, marketers are pretty much not really paying attention to this cohort. What do you think about that? Is that the case for, I mean, I'm sure it's not the case for you, but why is that happening?
I won't say that is the case for us. We started Audiogram, which is primarily focused on Gen Zs last year. It's a storefront, extremely colorful, dark-themed, social commerce-led, content-driven platform, primarily targeting Gen Zs. We see 3 things that Gen Zs do differently compared to folks like me who are millennials, right? First, and based on these insights, we have started the platform. First, they research differently. Gone are the days where they used to research traditionally on search platforms. Now the research is focused more on peer-to-peer connect. Research is focused more on discovery through media platforms. Second thing they do differently is they trust influencers which are more grounded. Folks like Nida, Hanuman kind, we happened to work with them last year, and we see them as big names today, right? So I would say these are the few other points which we have seen different for Gen Zs, and basis this insight we have started Audiogram last year. And overall, the numbers are fantastic for Audiogram, primarily because the engagement rate through content is much, much higher than direct purchase.
So interesting points you made there, and I'm just going to pick on again what Nimisha also said, and Kevin, come to you because you're kind of on that cusp, right, of late millennial Gen Z, and you have, I mean, one would say, an inside view on what they're thinking and what they want. And you heard everybody else here right now. Tell me a little bit about, your understanding of Gen Zers, especially given that you cater to their content needs and what they want.
So, as Sir rightfully mentioned over here, for example, a Gen Z is more likely to buy from somebody that they see online more often rather than, let's say, like a celebrity endorsing a particular brand. I'm more likely to, like, if like there's a creator that I'm seeing on Snapchat that's posting like 20, 30 snaps a day, I believe that person a little more because I feel like, okay, they're giving me an insight a little bit more about their life rather than maybe a celebrity that just got paid crores for something. I would rather trust that person that's putting their life a little bit more online and showing me, okay, this is my favorite coffee that I drink, along with that, oh, you know what, I got this from, let's say, RGO today. I'm more likely to get that rather than seeing maybe another celebrity wear something from RGO. I'm like, okay, that creator that I'm seeing every day is wearing that. So that's most likely something that I would like to, you know, like look into. So that's basically how the Gen Z mindset works. They like to see somebody that's more real, more raw, somebody that's actually putting themselves out there more. That's how influencers influence us, basically.
But it's interesting. But you know it's an endorsement. You know it's a collab.
Yes.
But that doesn't sort of, that's not a filter for you. Unlike when you see celebrities in the traditional sense endorsing brands.
I feel it's more effective with influencers for at least for us. Like even I'm more likely to like let's say like even as you mentioned Hanuman kind or something of that sort. Like they did this entire thing with Simba. In that, like the way they had integrated it, it was just beautifully done. You know, so when it's done really well, we are more likely to be like, okay, you know what, that was a good collab. Like that was a good integration. You know, that's what we like to see. And I feel like the more a creator embodies the brand, the more they showcase that, I think their audience is more likely to get converted to becoming customers.
You know, Snap, of course, has traditionally in India as well had a younger customer base. You know, they love the privacy aspect of Snapchat. But tell me, now that you have this deeper understanding of a more mature Gen Zer in India, how are you leveraging some of the insights that have come out of the report?
Snap opens to the camera. It doesn't open to a feed like other social platforms. So when you look at the app, it's not about likes. There is no provision to comment. It's not about virality. It's really about you yourself. And if I were to simplify what Snap stands for, it's camera, messaging, and content. And if you really see, we've been at the forefront of innovation. Snap was the first to bring the concept of stories, ephemeral messaging, which a lot of other social platforms actually embraced. And we are happy that, you know, some of our innovations have been embraced or taken by other social platforms. Now, when you juxtapose this with some of the things that have been, you know, that have been identified in the report, which is this generation is very authentic. This generation believes in building deep connections. And when you relate this to what we stand for as a platform, I think there is real value in what we bring to the table for brands and businesses. So when you bring in the elements of authenticity, deep visual immersive experiences, and you provide them where the brand can talk about and utilize some of these aspects and bring to life some of these values as far as the user is concerned, I think there is real merit in driving brand metrics and key business goals.
Right. It was very interesting. You mentioned, of course, you know, it's not about virality, and what I also got was not about vanity. Tell me, and we spoke about authenticity as well, Nimisha. When we talk about that big number that was shared earlier in terms of spending power, how does that all then translate into, you know, their shopping behaviors? What experiences they are seeking when it comes to that engagement on platforms with brands? How different are they, perhaps, from millennials?
One, you know, because you talked of authenticity, you know, these are, you know, Gen Z cares about being on trend. They don't care about, you know, following a certain brand or a celebrity. They want to do what is here and now, what is on trend, and then they find the best brands that are actually helping them achieve that. We coined this phrase, which I always struggle to say, called shopshalizing. Gen Z actually socializes while they shop. Yeah. Now, shopping has always been something you do with people, right? You go together with your friends. But because they're a digital generation, you'll see, you know, 60-70% of Gen Z, when they're physically in a store, will actually be online with their friends on a video chat, taking pictures of what they're buying, and actually getting that endorsement before making it. There is a Gen Z-focused fashion brand that's actually reconfiguring their trial rooms to be able to allow for easier photographing. I can see, some nods here. To make it easier for you to take pictures while you're actually trying things on. So they really, they just shop very differently. Now, one of the things that a lot of people believe is, Gen Z is younger, so they're fully digital. Yes, they're digital and they're online all the time, but they are also physical. They actually go into stores. Over 50% of them actually walk into physical stores to make a purchase. But while they're doing that, they actually switch on their digital connections and they check with people. So it's a totally different journey, and one really needs to understand them for who they are before you actually design what they need.
Arpan, how do you respond to that? How do you address these emerging, experiences and needs of a cohort, a generation that has massive spending power? Fashion, of course, we see that spending heightened. Tell me a little bit, as a platform, how are you rethinking the shopping experience? I'm not going to attempt to say the word either, Nimisha, but this sort of social commerce, social shopping, it's a community, it's an experience, it's also about sharing, not vanity as much. A little bit, how do you address that?
So I think I'll just take on from Pulkit's point. One of the things he mentioned is Gen Zs don't believe in brands, but more in labels. So we are focusing primarily on building a lot of labels, internal labels, private labels, like Sam and Buddha Jeans, catering to that TG populace at the right price points. They're extremely value conscious, right? They're realists. They are not just optimists like millennials. They know what the ideal worth of the product should be. Secondly, when advertising, we have realized they tend to engage better with content that's more engaging, that's more slightly intrusive. For example, slightly intrusive.
Okay.
I mean, they can interact with the content in a manner that way, not privacy. No. So we have. One of the campaigns we have worked with Snap was virtual try-on, where they can actually see the product on their body, right? So we had done the campaign with Shraddha Kapoor and Shakti Kapoor, and they can see what Shraddha and Shakti is wearing in the ad, and they can feel the same, trying it out. The second campaign we did was with ASOS, which we launched recently on the platform, created a portal which takes them to London, where the brand originates from. And the engagement on these ads are much, much better than the other campaigns we have run, and which kind of lends to the conversion on the platform. And obviously, when someone sticks to something for longer, the awareness, the consideration goes up, and we see better results in terms of numbers.
Kevin, I'm going to ask you, how do you shop? What makes you different from, say, the way your parents shop?
So again, like the way our parents would shop and like the way we would shop. Okay, one thing rightfully mentioned, like yes, we do take polls. Like there are actual polls that we'll put up on our stories and we'll be like, okay, this sneaker or that sneaker. It could be like, okay, maybe there's an Air Jordans and maybe there's a Simba, but even though Air Jordans are much more valued and could be more expensive, but then right now Simbas are trending more. Yeah. So that's what we want to go for because that is what is currently trending. Or maybe because we saw Travis Scott wear something and we're like, okay, no, now this is the new trend. Now this is what we're going to be following. Apart from that, when it comes to Gen Zs, as I said, it's all about trending, right? Like, for example, like they have started popularizing thrifting a lot right now, right? Like, you see any of these street interviews that are happening and, like, they ask, hey, where did you get this T-shirt from? Gen Zs will very proudly say, oh, this I thrifted it, or this bag I thrifted. Millennials, thrifting is secondhand, right? Millennials won't say they thrifted it anywhere, but they are getting this entire thing of sustainability. Yeah. Like, if brands can figure out that part, like maybe let's just say a Zara or gets like something like their old stock and they make it like, say, like a Zara archives, like the stock that was dead, but like now it's an archive, it's like it's a thrift thing. I feel like that would be something that could also trend because they are all about now sustainability at this point as well.
I think we always try to optimize for what Gen Z wants. And one of the key pillars of their behavior is built around visual immersiveness. They interact, they express themselves in very visual means. It's very non-textual. And that is what the promise of our app is. When we talk to brands and businesses, I think one of the important dimensions that we bring to light is, advertising has gone through a metamorphosis. Like you saw TV advertising morphing to digital advertising, you saw the emergence of digital video. I think from now, and we are seeing this already, I think it's the element of capturing attention which will become very, very important for all brands and businesses.
Can I build on that?
Absolutely, go ahead.
Just the way that they express themselves is actually just incredibly fascinating. I mean, if they want to tell someone, I've reached the restaurant waiting for you, they won't send a text. They'll send a picture of themselves there, right? Kevin relates to this.
I can connect it because I do that. So I am some
You're
Gen Z
kind of
behavior
there.
in there. Yeah.
They want to announce that they're with a significant other. They'll actually start revealing it through sort of snaps over the course of, a few weeks, right? It's a soft launch, exactly. I learned that new word. So, so it's not just about how they want to interact with brands. I think it's how they live their lives. Their lives are visual, they're immersive, and they're very interactive. So anything that's passive, where you're sending them a lot of information, but they don't get to interact, that's not fun for them, right? It needs to be interactive and visual. That's just who they are.
Absolutely, fantastic point. And that just on that point about authenticity again, right? We talk about authenticity in content, but what about authenticity, like what I'm hearing in delivering that content, in the media and the format of that? Is that something you think about a lot, Kevin, as a creator? It's not just about what you put in that video, whether it's 15 seconds or any longer than that, but how does that delivery mechanism matter as well? And then that's where the platform comes in, right?
So especially a platform like Snapchat, the platform is designed such a way it demands authenticity. As he rightfully mentioned, that it opens directly in the camera app itself, right? So Snapchat is a very raw platform. It's very on the go. As like our audience wants to see, okay, what kind of coffee is he drinking in the morning, or who is friends with, or like, oh, is he watching this kind of a show or something? So Snapchat, like as a creator, like a good Snapchatter is posting at a minimum at least 20 snaps a day, going up to 50, 60 snaps, all right? You cannot help but not be authentic. You have to be yourself at that point of time. You are going to constantly be talking about the thoughts that you have, or what views you have about this particular movie that has happened, or whether you like the new Honey Singh song that's come back or something. So your audience is constantly seeing you, okay, they see you do your skits, they see you do those videos, and they see you do your fashion transition videos, but then they also want to know, okay, what is Kevin really like in his normal day? Like, okay, what is he actually, what is he actually wearing at home? Oh, is he wearing like a jaywalking or a private limited t-shirt? That's when he's chilling. This is not a brand endorsement. This is him just chilling at home with his friends. What is he wearing? That is when I feel like a community starts getting built over it, because Gen Zs are all very community oriented. So the more authentic you are, the more I feel like you start resonating with your community. So with Snapchat, and especially with these filters that Snapchat has, this amazing AI filters that they have, there are creators that will actually, even I myself, like I will use Snapchat filters, I'll make a video and I'll upload it on other platforms because that's how good it is. So it just drives that authenticity and creativity. The platform is just like that. You have to be very authentic or else you won't work on Snapchat.
Pulkit, that's music to your ears.
Enough has been said, and he makes a very interesting point. When you hear a Kevin-like person say this, think about this. It's phenomenal on how actually platforms today are the congregation of where it's like the lines are blurred, like entertainment, shopping, influencers, creators, everything is happening in this world of what you call social entertainment, right? In many ways. So, which is why when I was hearing him, it is so interesting when you hear about this, the whole funnel is broken. It's like an infinite loop of you get inspired, you shop, then you come back again, and therefore this flywheel of where brands should really start thinking is this infinite flywheel or very interconnected flywheel of attract, engage, and delight will become increasingly important.
If there's one the most challenging takeaway that you foresee for all stakeholders, but especially for marketers, where do you think that challenge will lie when it comes to cracking this generational cohort?
I think Nimisha made that point earlier. Among the brands that this research, our Snap BCG research, reached out to, only 15% warmed up to the idea that they're doing something about it. So the step number one, we see a big I wouldn't say a gap, but it's a challenge that probably we are underestimating the power of this generation in so many ways. And which is why firstly, I get to the fundamental issue that this generation is spending. Absolutely. And they will drive the next wave of retail consumption in India. Having said that, I think one of the big challenges is that if you see the context of millennials and you see the context of Gen Z, millennials were born at the cusp of the emergence of internet. Gen Z is born in a mobile-first world. They are born on the screen. They are digital natives. Their access to technology is like a birthright. They are born to technology. They live technology. They breathe technology. And therefore, understanding that their behavior is fundamentally different from millennials, Kevin gave several examples of that. That is the bigger challenge. And then how do you really tailor to your communication, your formats, your messaging, your brand messaging, everything to this audience in a world where I would lay emphasis again, where attention is a very, very precious currency, is going to be challenging.
Well said.
Can I quickly just chime into earlier what Pulkit had also mentioned? So as you all said that there was the number of 15% that brands are actually inclining that they want to go after Gen Z. So we as creators, there's this age demograph thing that we need to send to a brand, like whenever, like we are closing a deal or something like that. So whenever your age demograph is more on like say like the 18 to 24 side, like brands just automatically assume ki, oh, no, this is like the age group that doesn't have the spending capacity. Yes. They assume that the older ones, like if your age demograph is anywhere between like 26 to like 30, they are like, okay, this is the ones that we want to go for. However, me as a Gen Z, I think of it in the way that it's that 18-year-old kid that wants to buy the 25,000 Jordans. That is going to he's going to do an internship somewhere, or he's going to freelance, or he's going to learn coding, or he's going to learn editing and be like, no, I'm going to make that bag and I'm going to get that Jordans. And I feel like these people are the ones that are genuinely real fans. Like they will subscribe, they will, send you super chats. And rather than a millennial, they would be like, okay, maybe they like you, they saw your content, but they're not really going to go after you. Gen Zs are the ones that actually really go crazy after the creators that they admire and they like. So I was always trying to explain, like, like these agencies that, no, you all should focus on the younger generation, because, okay, maybe they are young right now, maybe they don't have money right now, but they have grown up watching this person's content to a point they are going to have money, like sooner or later they are joining the workforce, right? So that was something that I felt like brands need to focus on, that this generation is getting there.
Thank you. This was an absolutely fascinating conversation, and having all these perspectives here. Thank you so much to you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.